A lot of people struggle to learn algorithms and they want to know what they're doing wrong and what they should do instead. And I think my answer is going to surprise a lot of people because almost no one takes the approach I think works best. I'm going to break my answer into 4 parts. First, I'll talk about what most people do and why it doesn't work. And then I'll get into the crucial piece that's missing from the common approach. We'll dive into a little bit of research on the topic. And then finally, I'll describe exactly what you should do instead, and we'll do a little bit of programming. Okay, so most people learn algorithms like this. First, you're given the code for a famous algorithm, let's say Dijkstra's algorithm, and of course it feels scary. It makes no sense at all. It came out of nowhere. Because you're given the ultimate conclusion first, because you're given the answer right away, I call this the conclusion-first approach. After you get the conclusion, you'll trace through a couple of examples step by step, and maybe you'll see a visualization, and that's basically it. But tracing through examples, it doesn't tell you why things have to be that way, and it definitely doesn't give you any insight into how someone like Dijkstra may have come up with the idea in the first place. Because all of this information is detached from any meaning, it of course is going to feel arbitrary. And I think this is the core reason why so many people struggle to learn algorithms. Arbitrary things are never going to make sense. If your process is seeing the algorithm first and then tracing through examples, you don't give yourself permission to explore why and how the algorithm was created in the first place. And without understanding that creation story and the messy road that led to the ultimate conclusion, you're missing essential context. And if you're a curious person, just having this information thrown at you without that context feels wrong. It reminds me of this quote from George Polya. The author remembers the time when he was a student himself, a somewhat ambitious student, eager to understand a little mathematics and physics. He listened to lectures, read books, tried to take in the solutions and facts presented, but there was a question that disturbed him again and again. Yes, the solution seems to work, it appears to be correct, but how is it possible to invent such a solution? Yes, this experiment seems to work, this appears to be a fact, but how can people discover such facts? And how could I invent or discover such things by myself? The inventor understands his invention better than anyone else, and Polya got that. Now, programming isn't unique. We make the exact same mistake in math. So in math, you're given the conclusion first, typically some formula, and then instead of understanding the essential context behind it, the focus is on very narrowly plugging numbers in correctly into the formula. And plugging numbers into a math formula is exactly like taking a fully formed algorithm, plugging in example inputs, and then tracing through them. This paper out of Harvey Mudd describes what I'm saying perfectly. They argue that you have to use a derivation-first approach, and you can think of derivation-first as essentially the opposite of conclusion-first. A common approach to teaching algorithms involves describing algorithms first and then proving their correctness afterwards. In this article, we advocate a derivation-first approach in which algorithms are derived either from basic concepts or from simpler algorithms before they are proved correct. It is our belief that seeing or participating in the derivation of an algorithm, that is, the development of an algorithm from either a simpler one or from a basic principle, is more intellectually satisfying and more effective for student learning than simply being shown the algorithm. And then in the rest of the paper, they go through examples and they show you how you could derive famous algorithms like heap sort and Dijkstra's algorithm. This is rare for me, but I do agree with all of the conclusions in this paper. The reason is because in my 10 plus years of teaching, I've tried just about everything. And this is the method that works best. It's not even close. The only thing is, I think it should be done even sooner. So at Harvey Mudd, they start using this approach at the junior level algorithms course. And that's great because most people never get the opportunity to learn this way. But even earlier would be better, and ideally the first day. To give you a concrete example, I'll show you what a very early derivation-first experience might look like. And this is a real example that I've adapted from my own intro course. I'm going to take a language agnostic approach, so even if you don't know any programming, you should be able to follow. Okay, so the problem is that we want to write a function that will delete a single item from an array. And I'm going to pretend that I'm a complete beginner. I'm going to derive the solution, but I only know 3 things. So one, I know what an array is at the most rudimentary level, so I know that it's an ordered list of items. The second thing I know is I know how to change an existing element to something else. So for example, if I wanted, I could change A to G. And then the third thing I know is I know how to remove only the last item with some built-in function like pop. So we obviously know how to remove the last item. We can just use something like pop, but we need the ability to delete any item. So let's just go from one extreme to the other and think about what would need to happen if we wanted to delete the first item. Okay, so if we wanted to delete the first item, the end result would look like this. We would have B, C, and D, and then we would get rid of this empty slot with pop. But how do we actually get to that end result? And if you're perceptive, you might already start noticing some things. So let's just do that again and pay really close attention. We want to go from here to here. So with my left hand, I'm like discarding the A. And then with my right hand, I'm just shifting B, C, and D to the left by one spot. An image of a solution is starting to come into view, but we need to break it down into discrete steps that a computer can actually follow. So let's reset and think about this even more carefully. At index 0, we want this to contain B, which is in the next box. So I'll just move it over. At index 1, we want this to contain C, which is in the next box. So I'll just move it over. At index 2, we want this to contain D, which is in the next box, so we'll just move it over. And then at index 3, there is no next box, so we don't need to do anything. That means we can stop at the second to last box. And then the other thing to notice is that we started at the index we wanted to delete, at index 0. So I'll label that delete index. Now we just have to transform this picture into words. So we want to go from the delete index to the second to last index. So for each index from delete index to second to last. And then once we're at an index, we want to set the current element to the next element. And this will do our leftward shift. And then after that, we can just delete the last item. This was just a simple demo, but it shows that you can learn in a derivation-first way from day one. Anyone can make the simple observations I made and figure out the answer on their own. You don't need to know it in advance. If you're trained like this, you'll see all sorts of things that other people can't. So when other people say, my mind goes blank, that's something I hear all the time, you'll see all sorts of possibilities. The paper mentions seeing or participating in derivation, and of course you'll get more out of it if you participate. And a good teacher makes this more possible by breaking up the derivation into manageable exercises. That way students can genuinely feel that they discovered the algorithm, because in large part they actually did. When I've watched my students go through this process, you can sense a visceral excitement. It's really satisfying to come up with insights on your own, and it makes programming really fun. If you want to check out one of my favorite examples of derivation-first teaching, check out my video on the classic interview problem 2-sum, and remember to try to derive it first before you watch me do it.